Okay, this video is for the people on the Endless Sphere forum. Just bought some wire. It's 150C silicone jacketed wire with a fiberglass braid, and it's 10 gauge wire. It's definitely a lower strand count. So that means the internal wires are a little bit, thicker. The internal strands are a little bit thicker and a little bit stiffer. So technically, it does have a little bit of a memory, but it's definitely like a lot more flexible than the stuff that you get at like AutoZone or Walmart or something like that. The PVC wire, it's really flexible, and it springs back on itself. It has like a smooth feel to it, to where it's almost like it's snagless, where the silicone, your finger doesn't run smoothly across it, so it's definitely a lot smoother and everything. I checked with my micrometer, and the outside OD is about 6 millimeters on both, and the internal diameter of the wire is about 3 millimeters on the real silicone and 3 millimeters on the wire that I just bought. Um, as far as it cutting, it cuts pretty cleanly. It doesn't leave too much of a stray. So it actually that cuts pretty clean. So you'll think that the fiberglass sheathing would fray a little bit, but it seems to be cutting pretty good. This is wouldn't say a new set. I've actually had this for like over a year, but it seems to be cutting fine. And as far as stripping, when you strip, there is a little bit, like two of the strands do do hang off, but it's nothing that you can't, you know, trim away with a pair of scissors. And then you got like a perfect strip. The silicone does feel like silicone is a little bit hard, but it definitely does. The internal jacket does feel like silicone wire. It has a very thick jacket, so I don't see this like melting. I mean, this is silicone, so it's not going to melt or anything. So it should offer plenty of protection, but definitely, you have the limp stuff here. It's very limp on itself. While this does have a little bit of a memory, but it's very acceptable. I mean, if I could fit phase wires like this through the axle, I would. This is very good for just general wiring. You know, so I think this is like some good wire, especially like one of the guys said, it's only 55 cents a foot. So it's pretty good, and it's somewhat flame retardant. I can hold a flame to it, and it doesn't necessarily catch on fire. So that's pretty, damn good. I mean, silicone does the same thing, but if this was like PVC wire or something, this would have pretty much caught on fire, and you couldn't do anything with it. The fiberglass did flare out a little bit once I lit it, but it never did burn or catch fire. If it was like nylon braiding, you would have lit it on fire and it just would have been dripping off and everything. So yeah, this is some pretty good wire. It's only worth it if we buy a good quantity of it. Like I said, I bought 750 feet, which is I don't expect anybody on the forum to buy that much, but that's kind of the highest one that I could buy where where the discount was the maximum before it started diminishing to the point to where it's no use of buying a larger roll. So if enough of you guys, pitch in and, bought some wire, this would be a very, very good wire. I know that it comes in red, black, blue, green, um, yellow, but the cheapest color is white. And I guess assuming since they don't have to dye anything, it's just like straight natural wire. So yeah, so that's the review of this, review of this wire. So I think it's pretty good. Pretty good find. Like I said, I'm buying this to solder on to power supplies, and people are pulling a lot of current, and so silicone is one of the only wires that can stand up to like current abuse. Like if you were to get PVC wire this size and try to solder with it and pull a lot of current through it, the jacket of the PVC would actually get tacky and start to melt. So you use silicone, you can get away with a murder with silicone. And like I said, it can, hold up to a direct flame without charring. I mean, I can get a little bit of charring with my butane torch, but this does not burn, and so it can withstand a lot of heat. And so I needed something like a similar wire for it. The strand count really didn't matter, um, but the quality, like it being silicone, it being able to hold up to heat and everything, was pretty much two of the main things that I was really needing as far as this wire. But it just seems like it's a perfectly good wire for e-bikes too, and it really depends on what you're using for. They do have 10 gauge, 8 gauge, 12 gauge, and even if you had to distinguish, like I said, this is white wire, you could easily slip some heat shrink over it just to give it a color, a color for positive and negative, or you could do the same thing with phase wires. And the only thing I can see wrong with using white is it might get dirty and you can't get it clean. So that's another downside to it, you know. Um, so yeah, that's my review on the wire. I think it's a pretty good wire for the price. Um, it was up to go to you guys to pool the money together to see if you want to do a group buy on this. I bought this for my business, so I really can't sell it without making a profit. But if y'all order a lower quantity, like maybe 100, 250 or something. But like I said, the one that I really saw that was like the best deal was the one that was for 750 feet for $415. And when you look at it, I know even if you buy $20 worth of wire, that's like almost 40 or 50 feet of this stuff. And I mean, I haven't soldered with it yet, but I mean, I'm just liking the way that the strands stick together, and it looked like it would be like super easy to, put connectors and stuff on this. You don't have to worry about, all the individual strands fraying out of the high strand count stuff, especially when you go to solder like a 4 millimeter bullet on something like 10 gauge wire. You'll have straight strands, and you gotta really make sure it's twisted and tight and everything. And this stuff just looks like it just simply fits, and you don't have all the straight strands because the strands are pretty stiff, so they're just gonna go straight down into the connector without much hesitation. Looks like it will wick solder and flux pretty easily. So yeah, it's pretty good. Thanks for watching.